This is a Sessions video tutorial using color as value.
Let's explore how to paint with color using color as value. In this video, I'm going to show you an exercise in which I paint a still life using pure colors, straight out of the tube. While the end result might look psychedelic, what I'm doing is developing control over levels of value. I'm going to select colors to represent different values from light to dark. The purpose here is to capture the effects of light rather than mixing the accurate or realistic colors for the painting. Practicing this will give you greater control over colors and value in your work. Let's paint this still life using color as value. I'm going to start with the underpainting I created earlier. When you start to paint, you'll want to add 8 or 9 different colors on your palette. I'm going to select colors for different values that range from dark to light, painting over the underpainting. Ordinarily, I would mix colors on the palette, but for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to use the colors pure, straight out of the tube. First, I'm going to paint the highlights, the lightest area of my painting. I'm going to use cadmium yellow to mark in this area. In between colors, I will wipe off my brush and then dip my brush in the odorless mineral spirits to clean the paint off. Do this every time you change colors. If any of your paint gets mixed together, the colors will start to get muddy. I clean my brush as I go with paper rags that I can easily discard. Now I'm going to add the darkest parts, the core shadow in my painting, using ultramarine blue. Painting in the lightest and darkest parts first gives me a reference for everything in between. Next, I'll paint the lighter midtones in the composition, the background wall, using yellow ochre. I'm using cadmium red on the orange in the bottle. Now for the core shadow in the bottle, I'm going to use permanent green deep. For the canvas pliers, I'm going to use sap green. As I add colors, I'm checking that the values work with each other. I'm not afraid to experiment, but I'm constantly checking my results as I add color to the painting. For the shadows to the left of the painting, I'm going to use burnt umber and burnt sienna. Right now I'm ignoring the warm, cool aspect of these colors, just focusing on how well they represent values on a spectrum from light to dark. One important note to remember is to paint wet alongside wet. Don't clog your painting by trying to paint over a wet area. If you make a mistake, it's better to repair it later after the paint is dried. I also want to reinforce the need to constantly clean your brush using mineral spirits as you transition from color to color. Finally, I'm using cerulean blue for the reflected light on the box. I'm almost done, so it's time to stand back and ask myself some important questions. Are colors relative? Is the background orange too dark? Is the yellow ochre too dark? Is the red too light on the bottle? Do I need more highlights? At the end of the project, it's important to take one last look at the highlights. After all my colors in place, I want to make sure that the highlights pop out the way I want them to. Remember to clean your palette at the end of the project. Scrape off all unnecessary paint so that your palette is left with a smooth, clean surface. Don't leave any paint on your palette unless you know that you're going to come back to it soon. Otherwise, the paint will harden and dry, making a mess of your palette and your next painting. And that's it. In my color study, I used some crazy colors, but I was able to use different values to capture the effects of light.